Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today we've got another Naruto character review, and today's character is Sai from Naruto Shippuden. And as always, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Naruto Shippuden yet, you might want to go check that out first, because there's going to be a decent amount of spoilers. That said, let's jump into it. So Sai. Well, Sai is... he's a very, very interesting character. He originally comes from Donzo's Foundation as part of the Root, which is the training program. Now, Sai is he's a very interesting one. He's very much dedicated to the mission, and he really doesn't understand emotions at all. And he believes himself not to have any, and it's mostly true. Although he does have a couple of strong ones that he represses, but definitely still has, as evidenced by his picture book with his brother. Now, we'll talk about his story with his brother in a second, but let's talk about first when we first get to know Sai. Well, Sai is first introduced when Naruto is talking with Shikamaru and Choji, and suddenly Sai just attacks them out of nowhere. And they all form a unison strike to try and bring him down. Well, Choji doesn't do a whole lot in that fight. It's mostly Naruto and Shikamaru. Choji's there, but he's not really doing much. His jutsu's a little problematic to use inside the village. You could destroy stuff pretty easy. So anyways, Naruto and Shikamaru are going after him. And and they kind of clash. Shikamaru backs him up with the shadows, and Naruto charges at him and, locks blades with him. At which point, Sai insults Naruto's manhood, like straight up. Like he straight up insults what's between Naruto's legs, just out of the blue. Yeah, that's a thing that happens repeatedly, actually. So they get into that, and then Sai leaves. Apparently, he was testing Naruto's strength because he knew he was going to be on Naruto's team, which he did end up getting teamed up with Naruto shortly thereafter, which freaked Naruto out. He's like, that guy that attacked me yesterday is the new teammate. He was pretty upset about that one. And Sai continued to insult Naruto's manhood because he just likes doing that for some reason. Then he insulted Sakura's looks, and she wasn't thrilled about that one. So teamwork was a little bit of an issue for those guys, because Sai, he didn't seem all that interested in it. I don't know if it was, plus at the same time, like, he didn't really understand how to be a friend. So there's that. So yeah, then you see them go on their mission. You see Sai insult Sasuke straight up to Naruto and Sakura's faces. Naruto's like upset, and Sakura is seemingly level-headed and calm until she punches him in the face and sends him flying. She was not thrilled about him talking crap about Sasuke. So she even threatens to beat the crap out of him if he ever says anything again about Sasuke. So they go on their mission to try and retrieve Sasuke, and there's definitely some hiccups. What with everything with Sasuke, and what with just Sai being just so terrible, just really problematic. Then after during all that, you get to know Sai a little bit. You find out he really doesn't have any emotions, which is kind of weird, because apparently in the foundation, they kind of train you not to have emotions. So he's kind of rid himself of those, except for his picture book, which you see, which is for his older brother, who he's shortly who he reveals is dead. And he's he's very weird about it. Like, he's just very to the point that his brother's dead. You know, and on top of that, he's like, I don't know how I should have looked when he died. Like, he doesn't understand like grief and like what he's supposed to do with that. Like, he's really out of touch with his own emotions. So anyways, things kind of proceed with that. Naruto and Sai just don't get along. Sakura kind of tries to keep the peace, but like, she doesn't even really get along with him very much. So Captain Yamato, who's like the new captain who doesn't know any of these guys, is really struggling to keep the peace there. But anyways, they eventually get to the Tenchi Bridge, where they were supposed to meet up with Orochimaru's henchman, who's a spy of Sasori, who gave them the intel. And well, Naruto ends up going on a rampage after Orochimaru, and Sai sees that this is the perfect opportunity to do his real mission, because his real mission was never to actually be part of that team and do the mission of that team. That was just a way of getting close to Orochimaru. So when he sees Naruto rampage and go after Orochimaru, he takes his opportunity, leaving Sakura to fall off a bridge in the process. I mean, Yamato saved him, but it was a close one. And Sai literally had the opportunity to save her, and he just flew right past her. But Sai was, he kind of watched Naruto and Orochimaru engage in battle. Naruto was keeping up because, you know, he was using the four tails of the nine tails. He was kind of lost in rage dealing with that. And, you know, after that, he ended up, after things settled down, Sai introduced himself to Orochimaru, originally with a clone, but then Orochimaru didn't like that, so he killed the clone. But one of the things on that was Orochimaru had, you know, like threatened him, saying, "You better watch what you say to me." And Sai's like, "Hey, I can only say the message as exactly as I was dictated it. If you don't like it, do what you're going to do about it." Because to just show just how like dedicated to the mission he is. Like, he's very much, I was ordered to do this, so I'm going to do it. That's just how it is. No thoughts about it. No fear, no emotions, no second guessing, none of that, which is kind of crazy. So anyways, after that, you get to see Sai go off with Orochimaru, but that's not his real mission, was to be with Orochimaru. His real mission was actually to assassinate Sasuke, and he met Sasuke shortly after making it to Orochimaru's hideout, where he provoked Sasuke, most likely to gain some intel on him. And he realized just how fearsome Sasuke is and how bad of a temperament he has when Sasuke threw him into his Amaterasu for a little bit, and actually caused Sai to sweat and feel fear, which is something, you know, him with his no emotion shouldn't be able to feel, which really surprised him. But anyways, shortly after he makes it back to his room where Kabuto locks him in. By the way, he gave Orochimaru intel on Anbu, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, that wasn't so much Sai, that was more Donzo, but Sai was the, you know, delivery man of that, and he knew what was in there. So yeah. Anyways, luckily, Yamato, Naruto, and Sakura find him shortly thereafter. Sai reveals the fake mission, the one that he told Orochimaru he was doing, and not his actual mission. And then they tie him up, and Naruto and Sai asks him why he cares so much about Sasuke. And Naruto's response really surprises Sai. And Sai really starts to realize, hey, there might be something to this guy. So, like immediately after that, Kabuto crashed the scene and freed Sai because, you know, he wanted an ally to deal with Naruto, Sakura, and Yamato. So anyways, Sai does something surprising, and he pins Kabuto and takes him down. He gets him by surprise, which Kabuto did not see coming. In fact, nobody saw that coming because Sai really was curious about this bond between Naruto and Sasuke. And he realized, well, shortly before this, when they ran into him, Sakura gave him back his picture book and explained like why that meant so much to him. And Sai, he didn't really understand it, but at the same time, like he wanted to. And he really felt that in order to understand why he had these emotions and why he was so attached to this book, the best way to do that would be to learn from Naruto and his bond with Sasuke. So that's why he took down Kabuto, and he basically abandoned his mission in order to help Naruto, Sakura, and Yamato. So much so that even after they set him free and went back to the base, and he had he was left alone and had found Sasuke on his own, instead of assassinating him, which was his mission, he chose not to. And Sasuke decided to, Sasuke decided to just blow the room up. At which point, Naruto, shortly after Sakura, Naruto, and Yamato showed up and ran into Sasuke. But yeah, the fact that Sai betrayed his mission multiple times for Naruto really shows just the impact Naruto and Sakura had on him. You'll start to see him really start to change later too. Like shortly thereafter, he ends up becoming a permanent member of the squad. He ends up starting to really form bonds with Naruto and Sakura, much to the chagrin of Danzo. He wasn't exactly thrilled with that, but he really starts to form bonds with them to the point that when Naruto left to go, when they went to go to the Five Kage Summit, and he was ordered to, keep an eye on Naruto, he didn't report back important information like Naruto leaving the village to Danzo. Like he straight up just didn't report that back because Kakashi had requested it. I don't think he would have done it anyways, but he didn't. He disobeyed a direct order from Danzo because he didn't want to sell out his friend Naruto. In addition, when he was tailing Naruto and he saw Naruto getting the crap kicked out of him by one of B's students, Karui, he decided to step in and protect Naruto after having witnessed too much of it. Like he watched for a while, but at some point, it was too much, and he's just like, no, I'm going to intervene. And Kakashi even pointed out, that's not something a tail does. So yeah, you could really see Sai really starting to change and in a pretty significant way. He started gaining emotions. Eventually you see him end up marrying Ino once you get into Boruto. So there's that, and their kid kind of reminds me of him a bit, but I don't want to talk too much about Boruto. So anyways, it's certainly an interesting he's certainly an interesting character. He's one of the most dynamic characters in the show. He goes from this emotionless character. He's always reading books too. This guy really loves to read. Sorry, I got sidetracked for a sec, but yeah, he really loves reading, and that's how he learns. That's how he learns about emotions and stuff, because he's really bad at it, and how people behave. He learns it all from books, which isn't a bad way to learn it, but at the same time, it's kind of better to just learn it, from just observing people and just the normal way. But he doesn't. He does it from books, and Yeah, but he goes from this guy who has like no sense of emotion, no feelings, no nothing, to just follow the rule, follow orders, and that's all there is to life. To, I'm going to think for myself. I'm going to try and learn how to have emotions. I'm going to try and have friends and try and figure out how to be a real human being and a good person. Like, he really evolves more than almost any character in the show. I can't say like any, because there are some that definitely have bigger transformations, like Gaara. But yeah, the Sai has Sai has a pretty big transformation in character throughout the show, and it's pretty impressive. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about Sai. Uh, one of the better characters in the show, one of the members of Team Kakashi, replacement for Sasuke, but, still his own person. He actually really takes over and, forms those bonds with Naruto and Sakura to the point where they, value him in much the same way they do Sasuke. He's another member of the team. Which is something that they, acknowledge before he does. Or sort of like, he acknowledges that he's part of the team, but at the same time, like, he doesn't expect them to acknowledge him, and he's really surprised when they do. So yeah, I really like Sai. He's one of the better characters out there. I mean, yeah, he starts out as a real piece of work, insulting Naruto's manhood, calling Sakura ugly, just being a real jerk that is completely unlikable. But going from that to someone who, you can really relate with. Also in the Fourth Great Ninja War, you see him actually fight against his brother, and that's a real toll on him right there, where he has to deal with that. You learn a lot more about him in that arc too, like how they've had to fight to the death, and how his brother was always better than him, but his brother was sick but didn't tell anybody, and then made it look like Sai killed him, even though he didn't. So that Sai could get the credit and, get the graduation. Like, he helped his brother out. So it was really touching, that scene, in all honesty. So yeah, to see like all of that, and just to see how deep his character is, like, I really enjoyed that about him. So anyways, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoy the video, or if you just like Sai. Subscribe to the channel for more Naruto character reviews. I mostly do Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 stuff, but there's going to be a decent amount of Naruto character reviews, so check that out. And if you love D&D 3.5, then even more reason to subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications, because YouTube's terrible about that. But anyways, as always, I'm Mitch, and I'll be seeing you